of magnesium as magnesium, so that's a lot of magnesium malate. And you need 10 to 20,000 IUs a D. And you will stop and reverse your osteoporosis.
I'm taking Dr. Jonathan Wright's formula. It's K1, K2, D, and all that stuff you're talking
Mhm.
about.
Yeah.
And I take an AM, which has got some weird stuff in it, and I looked it all up, and it all has to do with building bone.
Mhm.
And then the PM's at night,
Mhm.
and it's reversed.
Pretty cool, huh?
It's, well, originally I didn't do it because it's expensive, and tried to do like
Mhm.
similar things on my own, and it didn't work.
Right.
And then when I started it, it's reversed. My sister reversed hers too, and she's in her 60s.
Mhm. My Aunt Phyllis, 88, reversed hers.
Yeah. So it works.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need the drugs.
I'm gonna have you write this down, because I can't write that fast, but, I had a bad experience. I've had 3 or 4 bone scans, every one, my bone density's down, down, down.
Mhm.
I have asthma, so I'm on a inhaler, and I also had my thyroid taken out. Then,
That'll
I
do
did
it.
a really dumb thing. Last December, my doctor told me I needed to go in and get a, infusion of Reclast. Don't ever
Oh my God,
go near
don't do that.
stuff. I got so sick, I had such a bad reaction to it, and I still have days where I am very fatigued and stuff.
Yeah, that's because
But
it
I-
killed a lot of your cells. in your
And I'm
bones.
not doing that again.
Don't.
I mean, I just, everybody I meet, I don't take that stuff, it's toxic.
It is.
It was horrible. I mean, she's all wound up, well, you know, we handle all these chemicals, so we have to be careful. And I'm sitting in the cancer unit at Marshfield Clinic with an IV in my arm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it could, your big muscle, or your big bone in your leg can break, wasn't that what I'm trying to avoid?
That's correct.
So I'm on a bone builder through my chiropractor, and I had a real couple of summer with my sciatic nerve,
Mhm.
because that drug will settle in a weak spot. So now my daughter, got me taking hemp oil, and the difference is amazing.
Mhm.
My
Well,
sciatic
it
nerve.
certainly will help for the pain and stuff.
Yeah, I've never had anything like that in my life.
Well, I'll cover a little bit of bone stuff right now, then we'll get into hard stuff. A lady by the name of Leduc in Manistee, she was on Fosamax Boniva for, I don't know, 7 years or so. She fell off a pickup truck,
Probably just,
and she snapped a femur right in two. I mean, it was a clean break. She showed me the x-ray. It looked like somebody took a hot knife and just like that. So they clamped it and everything else. It wouldn't heal. So she was all screwed up for about 4 months, 5 months. Nothing would heal, nothing would heal, nothing would heal, you know. And so at church, she walked up to me and she said, "Pat," I said, "Yes." "You're the witch doctor of this town." "Oh, thank you. You know, I got kind of a reputation for fixing stuff. And I said, "Yeah, what can I do for you?" She said, "You heard about my leg." I said, "Yeah, how's it going?" And she says that they want to amputate my leg now because it won't heal. And I says, "Why won't it heal?" And he says, "Well, because it's in Fosamax Boniva, blah, blah, blah. And just the osteoblasts and osteoclasts were killed and yada, yada, yada." I said, "Okay." She says, "I know you can help me." I said, "Really?" "Oh, God. Okay, I'll give it a shot." But I said, "I ain't gonna promise you a damn thing, because this is so far off the planet." So I got her on, I think it was, she was also poor of the church mouse, so I donated all this stuff to her, gave her the magnesium, gave her the D, gave her the K. And I says, if this works, you will see bone growth within 4 weeks. If this works. It's just a big if. I says, "I ain't promise you a damn thing." So I'm at church 4 weeks later, and there she is waving her x-ray during the And she showed me how the bone's starting to grow back in. And I know the radiologist, or the x-ray tech, and she says, "Yeah, it's just started growing." And she's got her leg now and she's fine and everything's okay. And, well, yeah, it was kind of, but, so, another case, I had a hockey player, 16 years old, in fact, it was the x-ray tech's son, snapped his collarbone really bad. They didn't pin it, but they pushed it back into place. And the doc said, "You're off hockey 16 to 18 weeks. Mother came to me with this picture, and I looked at it and I says, "Oh, that's bad." She says, "Well, can you help him?" I says, Krista, your son has got a badly broken collarbone. Pat, he's a pain in the ass and I want him out of the house. Oh, okay. Here, do this, a similar protocol. 4 weeks later, she took an x-ray of it and was completely healed. The orthoped who set the broken bone had Krista re-x-ray his collarbone in front of him because he thought she had fudged the picture and just wanted him to sign out to let him go play hockey again. So it was all healed, all healed.
Wow.
Yeah, so on the bone side of things, the Olympic athletes that I work with, you've heard of stress fractures?
Yeah.
They don't get them. They just don't. Because of how K, D, insulin all works together with the osteoblast and osteoclast to remanufacture your bone and fix the little cracks and stuff like that. It's amazing. You just don't feel bad. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So, so that's the bone part of this. So that's where I got to meet Sato. Then I met Schugers and Vermeers. They're from Holland, Maastricht University. And they started telling me about their research on MK7 and heart disease and how MK7 stops and reverses heart disease. And I said, yeah, I'm living proof of that. So we started talking, and we was talking and talking and talking. It turns out in Europe, you cannot give MK7 in a dosage over 300 micrograms. Then you need a prescription. So they cannot sell MK7 in Europe or MK4. Can't do it. You're not allowed to. That's called the codex. That's a whole other stuff that I got to learn while I'm doing all this stuff. So then I asked them, what's the dosage required to stop and reverse heart disease? And they said anywhere between 1 milligram and 2 milligrams a day, somewhere in there. And a half a milligram would be the minimum. Half a microgram, or 500 micrograms, half a milligram would be the minimum. So I've been invited to talk at Maastricht University. Leanne Schugers has said that, invited me more than once to go over there. I gotta go over and do it sometime. Because as he said, you're living proof of what we've been talking about, that this stuff really does work. So there's still work being done at Tufts University on MK, 4s and 7s, stuff like that, and Sarah Booth. She's got some really good research people doing that. But what, they're really the people that are driving this. And it's just really kind of amazing stuff. So how does this work? Okay, who can define to me what a fat-soluble vitamin is, and why do you call it a fat-soluble vitamin?
It works with fat.
Oh, Trump, you're fired.
Okay. That's okay.
Why would they call it fat soluble?
Why do you call it a fat-soluble vitamin?
Maybe it goes into your fat as your body uses the fat.
It's found in fat.
It's stored in fat. It's all body stores it. Just
It
tell
gets
us.
stored in your fat cells, but it's how it's transported. Okay. I got a live one here.
Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this simple. What are the fat cells that transport your A, D, K, CoQ10, E? Your LDL and HDL. Think about that. Your LDL and HDL are the dump trucks that carry your vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E, CoQ10, all through your body. Pretty cool, huh? Nobody talks about that, do they? Of course, I'm simplifying the chemistry, but that's how this stuff, it gets transported. Somehow it gets there. So you ask yourself, really? And so what happens is inside a cell, or a cell that's located next to your pipe, you got your blood vessel, and you got a cell sitting right there. So you got your LDL and HDL floating around. This cell, let's say, needs some CoQ10. It sends a signal through the arterial wall to say, I need some CoQ10. So it creates an enzyme, kind of like this. Here comes your cell. Got it. pull it in, and it takes the CoQ10 to your mitochondria and away you go. That's how this works. They don't tell you that part. So, why is it that when you reduce your LDL down to 60 nanograms per milliliter or less, which is very dangerous, by the way, because it creates dementia. That's a whole other story. I got mine down to 37, that was dumb. Don't wanna do that again. Okay, what happens is, you have only so much, say, K1 in your diet. If you've got a lot of LDL that your body needs, and you don't have a lot of K1, you can't get it coded correctly, so it's not coded. So henceforth, you don't statistically have enough stuff floating around your system so your body can access it. It's a statistical problem. It's a surface chemistry problem, if you want to get fancy about it. Imagine a basketball with all these little things hanging off it. But you gotta have enough things to attach to the basketball. That's why taking vitamin A is so darn bad, because your body makes A in relationship to the D and the K that you have floating around. That's why you need beta carotene rather than A. Some people have deficiencies in A metabolism stuff, but I understand that. But when you pump yourself full of A, the body goes, what are we gonna do with all this stuff? And the liver gets all confused and coats things the wrong way and stuff like that. But that's how that works. So yeah, so you've got all these little dump trucks going around. And if you magically took all of the LDL out of your body, you'd be dead in 7 minutes. Yeah, because all of your hormones are made out of LDL. Pretty cool, huh? They don't quite tell you that part. No, so you gotta coat the stuff with your fat soluble vitamins. That's really how that works. So who's here has heard, we've all heard of Alzheimer's, right? Okay, what causes, now this is what I learned at the 2011, and I heard it again at the 2016 Vitamin K conference from Canada, Canadian Research. The government sponsored this, by the way. What causes Alzheimer's?
Black buildup?
What causes the plaque buildup?
Lack of vitamin K.
Which one?
One.
Exactly.
You guessed. I did.
Here's the Canadian research on K1. Canada has socialized medicine. Socialized medicine for Alzheimer's patients is exceptionally expensive. So Canada said, how is it that all these people over here got Alzheimer's and same age match controls over here don't? What's different? They actually asked an engineering question, surprisingly enough. So they started researching, you name it, they tried it, everything under the sun. And finally they concluded that the people that didn't have Alzheimer's, now I'll get into the APOE gene here in a bit. People who didn't have Alzheimer's, even if they had the APOE4 gene, they ate a lot of broccoli and sauerkraut.
The ones that did not have.
Right, they ate a lot of broccoli. And then they said, okay, no pun intended. How in the heck does this work? Or as they say in Quebec, sacré mort. And you go, okay, so they found out
No.
that you have, we've all heard of the blood-brain barrier, right? The arteries in the brain are kind of picky about what they let through. Okay, got an artery. And the brain sends a signal to create something called the SXR enzyme. Okay? It's like reaching out your car window while you're going along, looking for that bottle of Everclear.
It's in my cupboard at home.
Okay? So here comes the LDL particle with that fragment of K1 hanging off of it. The SXR enzyme grabs that K1 and pulls it into here. Pulls it across your blood-brain barrier. Then they go through the biochemical reaction, there's no point in boring you with that. And then it's formed into something you've heard before, MK4 in the brain. Then what does the MK4 do? It makes the sheathing material associated with your neurons to keep it from forming amyloid plaques. Pretty
So
cool.
the lesson here is to eat a lot of broccoli?
Sauerkraut and then wash it down with some Everclear.
So that's only on the LDLs, it's not on the
Yeah,
HDLs?
it's on the HDL too, but their studies were on LDL. It's good. Your Ks are hung on both of those particles. And I
Okay,
can,
but the HDL is a high density, so that would have more receptors, right?
yes, but its purpose is, the HDL critters that are hanging off it have a different role than the LDL. The LDL is the major dump truck that carries the stuff everywhere.
Okay.
The HDL is coated to allow for the ability of the HDL particle to penetrate the epithelial level of the artery, grab onto a foam cell, and basically pull the darn thing out. It's a
Okay.
surface chemistry thing. Now we can get into that.
Okay.
Can you reverse Alzheimer's?
No. You can stop it,
You can stop
but you
it.
can't reverse it. Because once those plaques form, it's just trash. It's just there. But what you can do in Alzheimer's is if you stop it, what you can do is you can do a lot of cognitive work to get you, exercise your brain,
Form new neurons.
form new neurons, and now you can do it. But once the plaque is formed, it ain't gonna go anywhere. It's just gonna sit there like scar tissue. It's just gonna sit
Well,
there.
and the other thing with, the Alzheimer's thing, my father-in-law, died of Alzheimer's. As he had heart disease, back in the day, in the early eighties, where they said, no fat. Well, then what's that do to our brain, which is made of fat? I mean, our brain is,
Well, what happened is when he didn't eat the fat that you eat in pork, the fat that you have in fish, the fat that you have in cattle, has K in it.
right,
So when you cut out the fat, you cut out your ingestion of K.
and then they put him on a blood thinner,
Warfarin.
and then you
Everybody,
can't eat K
everybody,
because it thins your blood.
no.
Well, that's what they told him.
Well, that's.
You know,
much
don't
more.
eat any,
Right,
yeah.
right. Warfarin, the problem with warfarin is very simple. It induces heart disease, period. It will cause heart disease, guaranteed. It will also weaken your arteries, which induces stroke. And warfarin screws up your K, so henceforth your amyloid plaques will form. So if you're on warfarin long enough, you'll have a bad day, for guaranteed.
And you always see people that are taking it, always have these big bruises and
Right, that's
stuff.
because their
Yeah.
heart, that's because of the clotting issues, and also their pipes are weakened, because K is used to strengthen your pipes.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
What if your blood is too thick and you need that? Isn't that why they're putting everybody out on blood thinners?
Okay, let's make sure okay. We have a definition of terms issue that the medical community has never quite addressed. You have clotting and thinning.
Right.
It's a distinct difference. Clotting helps your wounds, I'll put it this way, your wound will heal with clotting. Okay, that's how that works. Blood thinning is putting Teflon on your red blood cells. Two different actions, doing two different things. If your blood is so-called thick, there's some genetic things, but if your blood is so-called thick, drink more water. Thins it out that quick. Most people don't drink enough water. You should drink between 1 and 2 gallons of water a day.
I'm gonna try to tell my husband.
Mhm.
That's up there and drink 1 to 2 gallons a day.
All my athletes do. I do. You have to. But that, so what warfarin does, it screws up your clotting factor so things don't clot. So henceforth, if you bruise yourself, you just keep bleeding. What good does that do? That creates a whole nother cascade of events. If you have TIAs, those transient ischemic attacks, well, if you don't clot, well, that ain't good. So why do you wanna do that? So, they have some new stuff I'll call it's dabigatran is a fancy chemical name. You can take K and take dabigatran at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But you're better off just drinking a lot of water. You can't take too much K, that's another beautiful thing about it. You just can't, it's impossible.
So are you saying that supplementation with K1 will prevent Alzheimer's?
Yeah, that's what the community research says.
Do they have K1 supplements?
Yeah.
How much did you take?
How much should you take a day? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, you can take as much as you want, so the, Vitacost used to have a 5 milligram K1 pill. They don't make that anymore. Oh, that's a cute story about that. Now it makes a 1 milligram pill. And I asked Vitacost, why'd you do that? And they said, we make a 1 milligram pill, I know that, why'd you change? We make a 1 milligram pill. Okay, got you covered. And years earlier, I asked him, why is it that you're the only people that make a 5 milligram pill? They gave me the same answer. And I went, okay. Now, if you want to get K1 from a veterinarian, because they have K1 that they give to dogs that eat warfarin, they will not sell it to you. They won't. My cousin's the vet, she won't sell me. When I first really understood what K was doing, I said, went to Gail Pistolka, I said, hey Gail, I need some K1, I want to store some. Can't sell it to you. Why? Okay, no, I'll give it to you if you have a dog. I got a dog, I need some warfarin. She said, I don't believe you. Oh, damn, you know. True. Yeah, I can't make this stuff up, it's just freaking bizarre. It's just bizarre.
Wow.
So, for years, I've been told to take a baby aspirin before bed, and I kinda got away from it, so I don't know if that's good or bad. But I don't bruise like I used to. I used to have some honking bruises, people go, what did you do? I'm like, I don't know, didn't hurt when I did it. So is that still okay to not be on it, or should I keep taking it?
Okay, aspirin. Oh,
Talked my brother into getting off of it.
there's two things in your body, they're called COX-1 and COX-2. COX-1 and COX-2 are basically inflammatory markers. When you take sufficient aspirin, COX-2 is inhibited. Baby aspirin only works in COX-1, doesn't work in COX-2. So, I take 4 adult aspirins a day.
You do.
Yeah,
I only take one.
I take 4.
Oh.
I'm fine. Like I said, I keep testing myself, so I pretty much know all my body's dialed in.
So why are you taking the aspirin?
To make sure my COX-2 is COX-1 and COX-2 is completely overwhelmed.
No.
But isn't vitamin K used to reverse the blood thinning effects of Coumadin?
Yes,
So is there a risk of clotting if you take vitamin K supplements?
none. 0. It's the only supplement that you can't take too much of. Because, and you do that what's called with your prothrombin time. Everybody in this room has a different prothrombin time, and you take your K1, and your prothrombin time, let's say you don't have any K, your prothrombin time's down here, or up here, and then you start taking K, and now your clotting time will then level right up. No matter how much you take, it'll always stay at the same level. The way your body works with K is this, it sends signals to your gut to liberate K. The gut bacteria liberate the K. The K is first used to make sure your prothrombin time is squared away. And then all the other clotting factors associated with K1 are satiated. Once those are satiated, the next factors, there are 3 anti-clotting factors that are impacted by K1 that are then satiated. And once those are satiated, then your body takes what remaining K that you have and puts it in the rest of the body. Starting first with your pancreas and your bones. So, you just can't take too much K.
Question for you, on this sheet that we got about this class, arthritis was listed. What does K do for arthritis?
Okay,
If you have like rheumatoid or osteo, you're
okay.
labeled with a certain arthritis.
Well, arthritis, step 1 with arthritis is don't take a calcium supplement. Don't. It'll kill you. Calcium is as bad as weed. It'll kill you. Just do not take calcium. Your body is not designed to take, what's a fancy term? Exogenous calcium.
What about like a Tums without
No.
calcium?
No, none, zip, nada. So here's what happened with calcium. You suck in some, you chew on a chunk of limestone, you kind of go, oh boy. It goes into your stomach, gets liberated as free calcium. That calcium goes into your system. And your body's going, where are we gonna do this? So what does it do? It puts it in places where it doesn't belong. Puts it in your arteries, and it puts it in your joints. That's not my opinion, that's biochemical fact. So all of this stuff about Citracal, you know, it'll kill you, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Now, hold on one second, hold that thought. Next thing is, you've heard people talk about blood pH, right? Oh, we gotta have the pH of your blood, and all that stuff. That's all fine and good, but your blood pH is controlled with calcium. Your body controls your blood pH very, very, very specifically. It cannot move much at all, or bad things really happen really quick. So when you take exogenous calcium, it screws up your blood pH, and your body goes, and it puts it somewhere just to get the pH back into control. When your body needs calcium, it takes it to the bone. When it doesn't need it, puts it back in the bone. Now, what about drinking milk? If the body needs calcium, it sends a signal to your gut bacteria to liberate the calcium it needs from the food that you got. If it doesn't need calcium, it doesn't liberate the stuff in your food. It just goes through your whatever. But if you give it stuff it wasn't designed to be taken, no, bad things happen. So that's,
Wow, we are absolutely screwed over with what we have been told.
oh yeah, big time.
Just to say it bluntly.
Right, yeah. You
No,
should
seriously.
see how I felt when I go in the Mayo Clinic and you're going, what do you mean?
Everything's calcium fortified.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, it's bad.
Even Kool-Aid.
I was taking calcium for a long time, and then I read it can form like calcium around your heart.
Yes,
Then I had a heart CAT scan, and I had none, but I had been off of it for quite a while, a couple of years.
well, you're lucky.
So then, my chiropractor gave me, he's a functional medicine person or whatever,
Right.
and I'm on a bone builder because of my bones being so thin. And then this Dr. John who works here, I was going for acupuncture because of my sciatic nerve,
Mhm.
said it was a very good product for me to be on. So I'm just kind of gathering information. Is that considered calcium? Or is
I don't
it-
know what's in it, but if you want to build your bones, Dr. Sada would say, walk,
Yeah, I do a lot of walking.
vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin MK4.
Okay.
Start there, start with
Okay.
that, that's the Sada would tell you. It's,
Yeah, I can't have any more bathrooms.
Magnesium.
okay, now this hits on some other stuff that's kind of interesting. Who here has ever heard of Phetalin A? Good. Okay, now, you're gonna hear more about Phetalin A in the future, just like you're gonna hear more about testing for vitamin K. To your question about clotting and stuff, there used to be a test you could buy online called PIVKA, called PIVKA-2. They don't allow PIVKA-2 tests to be done anymore.
Really?
Yep. You know why? They don't want you to know you're deficient in K. And the only, they still will let you do a K1 test. And the only other test that you can do for the MK test, for the MKs, it's called, are you ready for this? Uncarboxylated osteocalcin. What a name. Uncarboxylated osteocalcin, and the test costs $285.
So if you could,
No, virtually nobody can afford it.
yeah, and since it doesn't hurt you to take more than you need.
Just take the K, don't worry about the test. Because, and what you will hear, eventually doctors will start giving uncarboxylated osteocalcin tests, and you cannot be fully carboxylated. That's impossible. Your body will not allow it. But most people are not carboxylated correctly anyway, so. Okay, Phetalin A. Phetalin A is a carrier protein for calcium and magnesium. Phetalin A is the bad boy that takes your exogenous calcium and puts it where it doesn't belong. Only if, here's kind of a thing, if your thyroid is below, your TSH is below 1.5, and your free T3 is between 3.5 and 5.0. Pretty cool, huh? So if your thyroid is screwed up and you're taking calcium, you will have heart disease. Guaranteed, you're screwed. That's how that works. Now, you try to get a Pheto A test, next to impossible. I've been trying for 5 years now. Can't, they've got the ELISA kits, but I can't get anybody to order that kit for me. I even went to I went to this cardiologist at Marshfield, and I said, you did this research with Pheto A. Can you order me up an ELISA test and get it done? She says, did I do that? Oh, Jesus, that made me feel just low. She didn't even know she had her name on the paper. But yeah, so anyway, Pheto A is activated when your thyroid is screwed up and you have too much calcium and you don't have enough magnesium and it works in parallel but not with, in other words, it's kind of parallel going on with vitamin K and vitamin D. So you got the D, Pheto A, your thyroid, your magnesium, you get that all balanced out, you're fine. So,
How do you know when it's balanced?
You feel better?
you feel better,
Okay.
really. But the easiest thing to do is your thyroid test. What is your TSH?
I don't know, I guess it's where it's supposed to be because he increased it, was 3 times, counting the very first time I was on
Do you
this.
take levothyroxine?
Yes,
Yeah, it's.
Wrong one. You're screwed.
Right.
Armor thyroid's the right one to take, because it has T3 in it and T4. It's the T3 that's the active form. So armor thyroid's the right one to take. And like I said,
is
you
the
can't,
one, the one I'm not supposed to, what I'm supposed to take,
armor
armor?
thyroid.
Are they both pharmaceuticals or?
Well, yeah, armor thyroid, well,
Yeah.
Google Lipid is a thyroid analog,
Okay.
so you can get that if you want it holistic. But typically, armor thyroid is desiccated pig thyroid, so it's kind of holistic in a way. It was first marketed by the Armor Meatpacking Company, because they had to do something with the thyroid.
Oh, sure.
That makes sense.
Okay, so you got a little bit of Arnold Ziffel in you, I guess, I don't know.
So if your thyroid is not working properly, you should take something called Armour.
Armor thyroid, yeah, your TSH needs to be below 1.5, and your free T3, which is the active form of your thyroid, needs to be between 3.5 and 5.0. Now, if it's above 5.0, you get heart disease, below 3.5, you get heart disease. Your TSH is above 1.5, you get heart disease. It all has to do with activating the Pheto A. When it's in that range, Pheto